Welcome to this short tutoring on how and when to properly quote, paraphrase, and summarize sources. When you begin to think about how and when to properly use sources, you also need to think about plagiarism. The definition of plagiarism is the practice of presenting another person's ideas or work as your own without proper acknowledgement and citations. Intentional plagiarism occurs when you buy, steal, or borrow a paper, words, or ideas from someone else without giving the author credit. Unintentional plagiarism occurs when the writer doesn't fully understand the citation format he is using and leaves out essential information or makes punctuation errors. So you might be asking yourself, how can you avoid committing plagiarism? First, we'll want to think about your topic and the research you have done well enough to explain it in your own words. Start the assignment soon enough to think and understand, not just research and type. Then, you will generate your words to express your own understanding. If you have trouble getting started, get help from your professor or the right place. Make sure to clearly signal whenever you are using someone else's words, whether you are using them by direct quotation, paraphrase, or summarizing, by providing a citation to give credit to the information's creator. Whenever you use a source for your research paper or project, you will need to make sure to properly quote, paraphrase, or summarize the source and cite the author. Quotations involve using a person's exact words in your writing or presentation. You must enclose the words in quotes and then cite the quote appropriately. Paraphrasing means putting a passage or segment from the source material into your own words. Credit to the original source is still required. Paraphrased works are usually shorter than the original passage. Take a broader view of the segment and condense it slightly. It uses approximately 80% of your own words and 20% of the author's words, while maintaining the same idea. Changing a few words or rearranging the structure of the sentences in the original source is not paraphrasing. If your writing is still too close to the original, you are plagiarizing, not paraphrasing. Summarizing involves putting the work's main ideas into your own words, including only the main points. You must still give credit to the original source, and summaries are significantly shorter than the original work. After you have used a source to quote, paraphrase, or summarize, it is important to use in-text citations. In-text citations are shortened versions of your longer citations from your works cited page that show readers where you used your sources. To create an in-text citation, you will need to have your full citation for your source on hand. The best place to keep track of your full citations is on your works cited page. Looking at your full citation, you will first look for the author, and if there is no listed author, use a shortened version of the article title in quotation marks. If you are using a book or journal article, you will use the page number as well. Next, let's look at some examples of using quotes with in-text citations. As noted on an earlier slide, quotations use a person's exact words in your writing or presentation. When reading your source, you will want to consider any words, phrases, or brief passages that you believe should be quoted directly. After you have written down your quote, you will follow it with an in-text citation. The first quote we will look at is citing in the narrative. Johnson writes, "Good writers know that providing support in their essay is essential." In this case, the author, whose last name is Johnson, has already been stated in the sentence. The last piece of in-text citation information we need is the page number, which is placed in the parentheses. The second quote we will look at is indirect citation. One scholar writes, "Citing research correctly is important," with Johnson the author in parentheses. For indirect citations, if the author is not stated in the narrative, we then place both the author's last name and page number in parentheses. Next, we will look at an example of paraphrasing with in-text citations. As noted in our earlier slide, Paraphrasing is putting an important passage or segment from the source material in your own words with an in-text citation. In this example, the original passage is, Stephen writes, if the nation is to obtain the maximum benefit from its new innovations in green energy, corporate America must take the necessary steps to invest in the U.S. and not abroad. An example of paraphrasing this is, the U.S. will not benefit from revolutionary new green energy unless corporations are willing to invest in the United States. Since we did not mention the author's name in the passage, we will include their name in parentheses and the page number where the passage was located. Last, we will look at summarizing with in-text citations. As noted in an earlier slide, summarizing involves putting the main ideas into your own words, followed by an in-text citation. The example passage is from the article, The Missing Risk of Climate Change. The passage states, there is an overwhelming evidence that the risk and impacts from increasing concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are very significant and will impact nearly every aspect of human life, but the full extent of damage to the environment is yet to be determined. An example summary of this passage would be, The Missing Risk of Climate Change, James Rising et al., argues that we are unsure about the damage that will result from climate change, but it could be devastating. This particular article has 4 authors. Anytime there are 3 or more authors, you will use the first author's name followed by et al., which means and all the rest. Since we included the author's name in the passage, we do not need to include it in the parentheses. In the parentheses, we will indicate the page number where the passage was located. As you are conducting research, make sure to incorporate your sources into your writing through proper quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, and make sure you cite those sources. Understand the value of citations. Don't be afraid to use too many citations, thinking your professor will feel you rely too much on your sources and not enough on your own ideas. Citing sources allows you to distinguish between what the authors say and your own analysis of their ideas and proves the authority behind your ideas. Thank you for watching this short tutorial video on when and how to quote, paraphrase, and summarize sources. If you need additional research and citation help, you can contact a librarian by email, chat, phone, text, or schedule a research consultation. If you need support for writing, you can contact the right place for a writing consultation. They are located in Building G, Room 103. They offer assistance online and in person. The right place works by appointments and walk-ins on a first-come, first-served basis.